A short while ago, another Unearthed Arcana dropped, and it's another update to the Artificer. I was hoping to dig my mitts into something new, but since we didn't get anything new to play around with, we can at least be happy that they seem to be taking the development of the Artificer quite seriously. They will also be posting a survey on the D&D website soon where you can offer feedback, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. So what did they add? Well, we got 2 new specializations, a revised spell list, a couple of new infusions, and they made a balance change to multiclassing, making it so you round your spells up instead of down. So let's do a quick run through of them. I'm going to go through them in reverse, so let's start with the new infusions. You've got an Enhanced Wand, Repeating Shot, and Repulsion Shield. With Enhanced Wand, you can use your infusions to create what is essentially a +1 wand of a War Mage, which lets you get a plus to hit with your spells, but also allows you to ignore some cover. Very useful if you're the spell-slinging kind of Artificer, but nothing new really. The other 2 infusions are a bit more interesting in my opinion. Repeating Shot not only gives your ranged weapon a bonus to attack and damage rolls, but also ignores the loading property, and it makes it so your weapon doesn't use any ammo. And since the projectile disappears after it hits or misses the target, you won't leave any traces behind or risk having your arrows fired back at you. This combos quite nicely with the Arcane Armament feature, but allows you to attack twice with a magical or infused weapon. Definitely something you might want to look into if you're going crossbow or gun heavy with your Artificer. Repulsion Shield makes your shield magical, but it also has the added benefit that once per long rest you can use your action to push someone who hits you away up to 15 feet. I can think of some clutch moments where this could really come in handy, but mostly I just find it to be a cool effect. Overall, the new infusions seem good, and they fill in some holes in the overall selection. And then we have the revised spell list, and it's just what I asked for. They finally got around to adding some of the spells from Cenithars to the Artificer spell list. This means we get all kinds of new toys to play with, like Thunderclap, Catapult, and Vitriolic Sphere. No complaints from me here, although I haven't gone over the list with a microscope, but it looks like a nice selection of thematic spells. So let's move on to the main thing they added. 2 new specializations. The first of these is the Archivist. They are specialists when it comes to psychic damage and scrolls. They craft scrolls at a quarter of the time and at half the price, which feels very powerful, because crafting low-level scrolls in 5th edition is already fairly cheap and quick. Not entirely surprising, they receive the Calligrapher's Tools as one of their free tool skills. However, they do also receive Forgery Toolkit proficiency, which is a little unexpected and interesting. Just like other specializations, the Archivist receives several unique spells that they always have memorized. These deal primarily with psychic damage, learning things, and other psychic effects. Spells such as Comprehend Language, Legend Lore, and Dissonant Whispers. These definitely set the Archivist apart from other Artificers. Just like the other Artificers, the Archivist is a bit of a pet class, but instead of her companion being a free-roaming being, they awaken a mind within an item, basically turning any small mundane object into an intelligent magical item. The Artificial Mind offers a whole range of powers to the Archivist. First, it can communicate telepathically with its creator, and it offers knowledge and advice, granting proficiency in 2 skills. These skills depend on the type of material the object is made from. You can also manifest your Artificial Mind as a sort of spectral image that you can use to see through and cast spells through, and you can use it to attack others with psychic assaults. I was reminded of the 3.5 edition Scion when I read through the Artificial Mind ability. Going back and looking over the Scion, they aren't actually that similar, but there's just something about the Archivist that makes me think of the Scion. Anyway, I like the idea of having an intelligent magical item as your companion. I think it fits with the theme of the Archivist, and it's a nice twist to the pet class mechanics inherent to the Artificer. At level 6, the Artificer gains one of her more interesting abilities, Magical Telephony, which allows you to communicate telepathically with creatures holding one of your imbued items. This feels like it incentivizes you to split up your imbued items, and by doing so buffing the group as a whole instead of hoarding all your items for yourself. It's not quite as strong as, say, Rary's telepathic bond, as your party cannot communicate with each other, but it's still very useful. You can also lend items temporarily to your allies as you split the party, if someone needs to go out scouting or shopping by themselves, and still stay in communication. At this level, the Archivist also gains the ability to deal additional damage whenever they deal psychic damage with a spell from the Artificer spell list. This adds their intelligence modifier to any psychic damage spell, and the Artificial Mind attack. This doesn't feel quite as powerful as, say, the Alchemist version of the ability, because it's a single damage type, it's restricted to only spells from the Artificer spell list, which does not have that many psychic damage spells and no psychic damage cantrips. And it also means you cannot pick up extra spells through feats through multiclassing to use this feature with them. Perhaps that is for the best though, to maintain balance, as spells such as Vicious Mockery would potentially become far more powerful than intended with this feature. The last two powers the Archivist receives at level 14 are quite powerful. The first of these makes it so that when you boost your Artificial Mind attacks with a spell slot, there is now a chance that he will stun creatures for a turn. Now, everyone who has seen a mid to high level monk in action knows that being able to spam stuns can be incredibly effective. It's also an intelligence saving throw, which is not exactly the most common saving throw out there for monsters and NPCs, so you should be able to stun people fairly consistently. You also gain the ability to turn into information and teleport yourself to your Artificial Mind, if it's manifested, or to one of your imbued items, again incentivizing you to share your toys with your friends. You can do this once per long rest, but you can also spend a second level or higher spell slot to recharge the ability, so it should be useful for getting out of some tough spots. Overall, the Archivist feels quite different in playstyle to the other Artificers. It's definitely in keeping with the class, and I like the idea of a caster who uses a lot of scrolls. The Artillerist might do more damage, and the Alchemist is a better healer, but the Archivist is great for investigations and research, which is just how it should be. Their focus on psychic damage also puts them apart from many other casters. Overall, it looks like a fun specialization. Now then, let's talk about the other new specialization, the Battlesmith. They specialize in armor smithing, and so gain proficiency with smith tools and leatherworking tools, and also craft magical armors at a quarter of the time and half the cost. Although this might not come up as often as crafting potions or scrolls, magical armors are usually more expensive and time-consuming, so it's still quite the boon. If the Alchemist is the healer and the Artillerist is the damage dealer, then the Battlesmith is definitely the tank of the class. They seem to specialize in keeping themselves and others alive, and are the best straightforward fighters of all the Artificer specializations. Their bonus spells reflect this, as they gain spells such as Heroism, Aura of Vitality, and several of the Smite spells, making them feel a little bit like a paladin. It's all about short-range healing, damage, and buffs. They also receive training in martial weapons, and get to add their intelligence modifier to weapon attacks instead of strength or dex, meaning you can be a deadly fighter without having to focus on stats outside of what you usually get for the class. It's an important feature, as classes should only require 1 or 2 high stats for you to excel at. The pet for the Battlesmith is the Iron Defender. Now this is a classical monster tied to the Artificer, so it's great to see it make a comeback. Basically it's a metallical animal that is pretty tough, self-repairing, and can use its reaction to impose disadvantage on creatures attacking its allies if it's close enough. So you can either use it to bolster your own defenses, or send it out to aid a weaker party member being targeted in combat. Just like the Alchemist Homunculus, the Iron Defender will scale with level, and is easily repaired and reconstructed if needed. At 6th level, you and your companions' attacks are imbued with magical energy, which allows you to either deal extra damage or heal your allies. You can do this up to your intelligence modifier times between long rests, but it means that you don't necessarily have to choose between doing damage and healing. This ability is further boosted at 14th level, and then your companion also starts doing damage when it's imposing disadvantage on your foes. Although the Alchemist does overall more healing, I think with the skills it has, the Battlesmith will be unrivaled in its ability to keep its party members alive and on their feet. They seem very tough, and they will be a constant thorn in the murderous DM's side as they keep bringing their comrades back up. Overall, I think the Artificer class is coming together quite nicely. Having a few more specializations is a nice touch, as the classes from a book have had more time to grow over the years. The Archivist and the Battlesmith are quite different from each other, but both definitely feel like Artificers, keeping to the overall class themes and ideas. They're master crafters of a particular brand of items, and they rely on item-based wizardry and their companions to excel. I gave the Artificer a try in a game not long ago, and I'm definitely looking forward to the final release of the Artificer. It doesn't feel like it's far off, and I'm curious if we will ever see a physical release of it, or if it will just stay digital. Soon we'll have the survey and we'll be able to give our feedback, so I urge you to let Wizards know what you think. I wouldn't mind knowing either, so leave a comment below what you think of the current iteration of the Artificer. And as always, if you enjoyed this video of the latest changes to the Artificer class, why not leave a like? And subscribe if you would like to see more. If you want to support the channel, then please share this video on social media with your friends. It really helps out a lot. You can also check out my DM's Guild page or follow me on Tumblr or Twitter. Links to all of that in the description below. Until next time, Dungeon Delvers.